What up, folks? It's your pal, Coach Vino, and this is the Glass Half Full podcast where we turn setbacks into comebacks. Let's go.
Yo, 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 everybody goes through setbacks, but don't let these setbacks make you take a step back. Step back from the situation, put your brush down, envision the picture you're painting, because everybody goes through setbacks.
All right. Welcome back to the podcast. I am Coach Vino, the people's bartender, and your certified coach from the Boogie Down Bronx. All right, hope everybody's doing well since the last time we hung out. I'm doing absolutely fantastic. And I want to get right into today's podcast because this is something that I see all the time. And honestly, it's, I've lived through it, and it's this idea that, look, most of our fears, we don't even earn these things, man. We literally create them, right? We generate these fears. We don't earn them. There's no merit to them, right? And a lot of times these fears, we generate them while we're sitting still, when we're stagnant, when we're not moving. You see, fear loves idle time. What do they say? The idle mind is the devil's playground, right? Fear loves a quiet mind that has just too much time on its hands. Fear loves when you're awake at night and you're replaying conversations in your head and you're thinking of outcomes that never happened or never come true. You think of all the worst possible scenarios and disasters. Fear loves that shit, man. Fear loves it. It gets all of its strength from that. Okay? It doesn't get it from reality, because reality is things are all right, or things aren't as bad as you think they are. Fear loves inactivity. Okay? All right, listen. All right, put it this way. Think about this. When do you feel the most anxious? Is it when you're actually doing the thing, or is it when you're thinking about doing the thing? 9 out of 10 times, it's the sitting and the waiting, thinking about it. Oh, one day, what if I fail? What if I look stupid? What if it doesn't work? What if people judge me? And so on and so forth. That's not courage talking. That's your mind. That's fear filling the silence. And here's something that I want you to understand differently today, okay, right now. Fear is not always a stop sign, right? It's not there telling you not to do something. A lot of times, fear is a sign that you need to get busy, that you need to get it popping. It's nature's way of saying, hey, let's go. You've been sitting still way too long, my friend. Back in the day, fear had a real job, right? This is like, let's get scientific here, right? Predators, hunger, survival. If you felt fear, you moved, you reacted, you adapted, right? That's where fear worked. But now we feel fear when we're just sitting on our couch. We fear scrolling the iPhone. You're feeling fear when you're perfectly comfortable. And instead of using it as a signal, we treat it like a sentence. I'm scared, so I shouldn't do it. No, you're scared because you haven't started. Most fears don't survive when you start making actions or when you start taking action, because they can't. The moment you make that first call, send that email out, write that first page, fill out that application, that's when fear ain't shit. Fear starts getting choked out. You know what I'm saying? Fear loses oxygen. Because action gives you information. And information is, I got to be honest with you, it beats the imagination every time. Because when you know the facts, when you know the truth, you can't make things up in your mind. While you're sitting, fear gets to write the story. So when you're moving and you're taking action, reality takes over. That's why so many people feel stuck. They're not stuck. They're paused. They're stagnant. In that pause, fear fills in the blanks with all these worst case scenarios, all of this negative shit. But let me tell you something right now. Fear isn't asking you to be fearless. It's asking you to be useful. Okay, what it's saying is do something with all this energy. You'll work on that plan of yours. Test the ideas that you have. Have a conversation with whoever it is you need to talk to. Or just move your body. Create momentum. Because momentum is the natural enemy of fear. You don't overcome fear by waiting for the confidence. Confidence is a byproduct of action. Okay, but an action is required. And this is where people get it twisted. They say shit like, oh, I'll act when I feel ready. No, you don't feel ready. You make yourself ready. You feel ready after you act. Okay, courage doesn't show up first. Movement does. Action does. Fear is more like a fire alarm. It's loud, it's annoying, and it gets your attention. But the alarm isn't the problem. Okay, the fire is the problem. The problem is ignoring it or panicking instead of responding to it. Some of you aren't afraid because you're incapable. You're afraid because you've been thinking instead of doing. And I know what that feels like. What's it called? Paralyzation by analyzation, some shit like that. And I get it. Thinking feels safe, right? Like you're thinking of, I'm preparing myself. I'm keeping myself ready, right? And action feels risky, especially if you don't think you're prepared. But thinking too long creates fear. A fear that doesn't need to exist in the first place. Okay? Understand something. You don't need to conquer everything today. You don't have to climb to the top of the mountain today. You just need to take a step, one step forward, one email, one rep at the gym, one uncomfortable conversation, one imperfect attempt. That's it. Fear shrinks when you put in that work. So the next time you feel that knot in your stomach, that tightness in your chest, that's the worst feeling, so uncomfortable. That voice that's telling you, all the reasons in the world that something's not going to work. Don't ask yourself, oh man, how do I get out of this fear factor I'm in right now? What you need to do is ask yourself, what action is this fear actually telling me I need to take? Because fear isn't always warning you of danger. Sometimes it's warning you that you got to get off your ass. You weren't built to sit still forever. You were built to move, to adapt, and to grow. So stop negotiating with fear. Put that fear to work. Get busy. Take action. And when you do that, watch how quiet fear gets. Well, that's all I got for you folks. If you enjoyed today's podcast, I'd appreciate if you left a review so you can help Coach Vino feed the hungry algorithm. If you or someone you know might want to work with Coach Vino, you can visit my website, CoachVinoLLC.com. You can also follow the podcast on social media where I share my thoughts in bite sizes. And it gives me an opportunity to directly interact with you guys, which is always fun. So I'm everywhere at Coach Vino Podcast. And remember, folks, if nobody else tells you, Coach Vino appreciates you. Cheers. What I'm feeling in a hip-hop form, but I was born to succeed. So as long as I breathe, ain't nobody on this earth gonna crush my dreams. Yo, this might be the end of the verse, but this is just the start of a new beginning. Word.